And we are down to 8. It is quarterfinal time, and we are into the knockout stages of the Rugby World Cup. Kia ora everyone, my name is Zach. I love rugby. Welcome back to Haka Time Rugby. We're going to drop a preview now on this match between Ireland and New Zealand. Now, both teams have just named their squads, and I think the squad selections are quite telling in terms of how these teams want to play. But first thing, let's look at the history between these two teams. In this World Cup cycle, I think most people are aware, Ireland has a winning record against the All Blacks, having defeated them twice out of 3 matches. Obviously, the one in Chicago, which was the first time that Ireland had ever beaten the All Blacks, was a huge result. They repeated that last year in 2018. So with that alone, Ireland has got to come into this match with some confidence that they can continue on and beat the All Blacks. They've certainly had the measure of the All Blacks in recent times. Coming into the tournament, however, there was a period that Ireland was extremely dominant in the Six Nations. To some degree, they've dropped off somewhat in the last year, and they've had a number of mixed performances in the lead up to the Rugby World Cup, notably with 2 good wins against Wales, and that pushed them forward into #1 spot in terms of the world rankings, first time in their history and just before the Rugby World Cup. But also notable losses against England, for example, where they took quite a heavy defeat in preparation for the Rugby World Cup. So those are a couple of notable lead-in form games that. And I think particularly that game with England, it looked like Ireland were out-muscled to a degree, particularly in that midfield, with guys like Manu Tuilagi running riot through that Irish midfield. Now, in terms of the All Blacks, similarly, they've had quite mixed preparation in the lead-up to this tournament. They had a draw with South Africa in New Zealand, and then obviously they had a very, very big defeat to Australia in Perth as part of the Rugby Championship. They came back a week later and defeated Australia by a significant margin in Auckland. So coming into this tournament, very, very mixed performances for both teams. Now, during the tournament, we all know that Ireland had the upset loss against Japan. Japan played outstanding. I think now we're probably all looking at this Japanese team and maybe saying, maybe it wasn't an upset as such. It looks like Japan has really cemented their place as a Tier 1 nation now and are competitive against all of these teams. So we need to give Japan more credit for the work that they are doing. So incredible stuff from them. From an Irish perspective, though, however, that was an unexpected loss. They did get a very, very good win against Scotland and then obviously managed to secure wins against Russia and Samoa. From my perspective, again, it's somewhat of a mixed performance here from Ireland. They've defeated Scotland by a significant margin, and at that point, my view was they looked to be one of the most complete teams at this Rugby World Cup. And then subsequent performances, subsequent losses have impacted their momentum. Now, one thing that has stood out is that there have been periods in the games that Ireland tends to go missing, and that's notably when Johnny Sexton exits the game, whether that's by substitution or whether it's non-selection. They certainly have struggled to get some kind of cohesion and continuity without him. He is a critical player to this Irish squad, and he will be key to them securing a victory against the All Blacks. For the All Blacks, they were able to, their first game was really the big match of their pool play where they defeated South Africa. What they proved there in that game is that they can put on points very, very quickly. There was a period of 5 minutes where they put in 17 points and were able to extend and push away from South Africa at that point. At that point in time, the game was very much in an arm wrestle. And if anything, you would say South Africa were on top. And they were on top through their physical play. And I think that's one area that this All Blacks team can be challenged. They are very, very dangerous in attack, but they are susceptible to physical play from the bigger packs. That's going to be crucial as we look into this game. Now, looking forward to the squads. Teams have been announced, and the teams are ready to go. So from an Irish perspective, it looks like Schmidt has very much put his faith in the old guard. A lot of those players that have done well for him over his tenure and should be able to perform. The only notable loss here is obviously Bundy Aki, suspended for a number of matches, and he is replaced by Gary Ringrose, who comes into the squad, who will play 12 or 13. But other than that, the team is as expected. I'm very much, I think, in terms of the key players within the squad, you've got guys like Conor Murray and Johnny Sexton. They will be absolutely critical to running this team around. I'm also a big fan of both their loose forward trio, very, very mobile, CJ Stander, Van der Fleer, as well as Omani, as well as some of the young locks. I mean, they're good mobile guys, so as well as their props. I mean, really, from a forward pack perspective, they've got a very, very mobile and dominant forward pack. I think they'll be targeting some of the set piece to get some dominance in this game. The only question will be around that defensive continuity in the midfield. Obviously, Bundyaki, I heard a stat that he'd played something like 23 of the 26 games under Joe Smith's reign, and it's clear that he is fits well within the defensive model, and probably from a defensive perspective is a key cog there. So not having him there means that there is some additional communication that's going to be needed between those two centres to ensure that they are on top of things. If they're not, they could be punished. That's probably one area that the All Blacks will be targeting here. From an All Blacks squad selection perspective, the first name that jumped out to me, Dan Coles, is on the bench. Cody Taylor comes in at hooker. Now, Cody Taylor, I think I'm very much a fan of, and from a line-out perspective in particular, he is rock solid, and that selection seemed to me like they are selecting a team that can be very, very solid in the set piece. Both line-out and scrummages, Cody Taylor is very, very good. It also looks like they're going to look for that last 20, 30 minutes for a guy like Dan Coles to come in, who we know is very, very mobile, has a high work rate, probably to come in when the forwards start to tire and to see if he can get some kind of attacking dominance there with his speed and agility. So that's the first one. Brodie Retallick is back and starts here. Obviously, he made an entry against Namibia where he played something like 30 minutes. This will be the real test. Now, by all indications, he is fit and ready for this game. But let's see. I mean, you have to say, to a degree, he is undercooked in terms of his preparation. He's really only had 30 minutes of rugby, solid rugby, following his injury. So whether or not he gets through the full 80, that remains to be seen. That may be an area that Ireland are looking to target. Other selections, Jack Goodhue comes in at 13. Anton Leonard-Brown moves into 12. That means Ryan Crotty is not in the squad. For me personally, I would have preferred Crotty. I think he's just a bit more solid both defensively and in attack. Goodhue, well, he does provide some additional options in attack. I think he can go missing somewhat in that midfield. Other selections, Geordie Barrett instead of Ben Smith on the bench. I think Geordie Barrett just offers a little bit more. Obviously, he played fly half for the All Blacks against Namibia, and by all accounts had a good game. So he is there probably for that versatility in that position, as well as for cover if one of the fly halves goes down. Now, keys to victory in this match. Now, let me just start by saying I'm really looking forward to the loose forward battle. I think the Irish trio, which are very, very mobile and very, very physical, versus the very, very mobile trio of the All Blacks, with Ardie Savea, Kieran Reid, and Sam Cane. I think that's going to be a really, really good battle and an interesting one to watch. I do think that a lot of this match is going to come down to that physicality from the Irish pack versus the mobility of the All Blacks pack. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of dominance is established there in the breakdown and in the loose. Also, the centre pairings. The All Blacks have had significant changes with their centre pairings in the lead up to this Rugby World Cup. They go with a new pairing again. Now, what kind of disruption will that provide from a continuity and a defensive perspective remains to be seen. But the same is true for Ireland, obviously, with Aki. As I said, 23 out of 26 matches he has represented Ireland under Joe Smith's reign, and not having him there I think is going to be a big disruption. So that's going to be an area of interest as well. What I'll also say on this game, Ireland have proven a couple of times that they can be one out-muscled, England proved that, and that they can be two outpaced, and Japan proved that. So I think the coaches are probably going to look to those types of areas to see if they can exploit, and the All Blacks are very, very good at using the width of the field from left to right side of the field, and then attacking very quickly. Obviously, we know that the All Blacks are extremely good at counter-attacking, so the kicking game is going to be crucial. But I do think Conor Murray and Johnny Sexton are excellent tactical kickers. I don't think they'll be so frivolous in terms of their kicks and where they target. I think they'll be aware that any poor kicks will be punished. So I'm picking that they will tighten up certainly on their kicks, and that they will only put in good tactical kicks. The other thing I'll say on this, it's really, really important that Ireland starts to allow the scoreboard to tick over. Take the points on offer. That's going to be a key to victory for this Irish team. If the game is close, we know that the All Blacks can put on points very, very quickly. What you've got to do is continue to tick the scoreboard over, take drop goals, take penalties. If the try comes up, take that. and then establish some scoreboard pressure. The All Blacks have proven over time, by Ireland in particular, over the 2 games that they defeated the All Blacks, that scoreboard pressure can start to impact the All Blacks' performances. And there's a couple of young guys in this All Blacks team that they can probably target to put under pressure. Now, well, Severu Reece and George Briggs, they are very, very dangerous attackers. They've also never been in the cauldron of a Rugby World Cup and these types of pressure matches. Same for Richie Mo'unga, he cops a lot of criticism from the New Zealand public. So, he's another guy who can be put under pressure. But targeting these guys, it's a double-edged sword. On the one side, you could come out on top, putting pressure on the younger players. On the other side, they could completely burn you and score tries. So that's a high-risk play. It'll really be down to how comfortable the coaches are with establishing that. Now, those are the keys to victory that I've identified. Who is going to win? Who wins this match? Okay, I do think that there have been a lot of inconsistent performances from Ireland. So I'm going to say that they may come in here. We could get anything. We could get the performance of the team that beat the All Blacks twice in this World Cup cycle. We could also get the team that was run off their feet against Japan. My pick is that the All Blacks should win this, and they should win this quite comfortably. But please do not be surprised if Ireland comes back, if they continue that formula on how to beat the All Blacks, if they're able to establish pressure both on the scoreboard as well as their rush defence. If the tactical kicking is astute from Johnny Sexton and Conor Murray, then these guys, they can take it for sure. We've seen that they have done that before. So don't be surprised if it's an Irish win. I wouldn't be surprised, that's for sure. But I am picking that the All Blacks should win this one, and they should win it quite comfortably in the end. Let's see. The game has not been played yet, so we don't know how it's going to go. But I'm very, very interested to see, and I hope you are too. That's it from me. Please tell me what you guys think. What's the score going to be? What are the keys to victory? Am I way off on my analysis, or am I on the money? Let me know. We'll see you guys soon. We're going to have more quarterfinal predictions coming, so please tune in for those. All right, guys. See you later.